again talks about how the kuffar, the disbelievers, enemies of Islam, are awliya to each other. All the time. All the time. وَالَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا أَوْلِيَاءُ بَعْضُهُمْ أَوْلِيَاءُ بَعْضٍ. That they are awliya of each other. And subhanAllah, we see this playing out in real time. In the time and place we live in. We have in America we have very inefficient government. The government can get nothing done. But one thing that they're very efficient about is that they're united on their hatred of Muslims. Right? That's where all branches of government cooperate together to make sure that Israel gets funding, that Muslims are oppressed, that students are silenced. Right? The university will work with the police, will work with the National Guard, will work with the governor. They're all in cahoots. They're all in cahoots. Right? And so one of my teachers used to say that Allah doesn't need you to be perfect. Right? So you may not be able to compete with the awliya in their ibadah, but you can compete with the sinners in their tawbah. Right? So we have people in the world who stay up all night plotting and scheming to bring down Islam. And at least we could do is put at least a bit of effort in trying to fight back. Because as many times as Allah says in the Quran that the kuffar are awliya to each other, more times in the Quran Allah mentions believers being awliya of each other. Being awliya of each other. وَالْمُؤْمِنُونَ وَالْمُؤْمِنَاتُ بَعْضُهُمْ أَوْلِيَاءُ بَعْضٍ. The believing men and the believing women are friends and protectors of each other. يَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ. They enjoin towards the good. وَيَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ. They repel the evil. وَيُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةِ. They establish the prayer. وَيُؤْتُونَ الزَّكَاةِ. They give their zakah. وَيُطِيعُونَ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ. And they obey Allah and His Messenger. أُولَٰئِكَ سَيَرْحَمُهُمُ اللَّهُ. And those are the people Allah will have mercy on. إِنَّ اللَّهَ عَزِيزٌ حَكِيمٌ. Y'all don't know who they are, so I'll just kind of mention this very briefly. And also today, Volta is not being recorded. So there was a sister in my office a few days ago, literally a couple of days ago. And this is, a big part of what I do. Unfortunately, no, not unfortunately. Fortunately, it's a big part of what I do is connect people to other people, connect good people to other good people. Right? There was a sister who was inquiring about a gentleman for marriage, and I asked her, what do you like about him? Why'd you pick him? She said that one time I was at the gas station, right here at MLK in Guad. That was a 7-Eleven. What's the 7-Eleven? So she said I was there. It was super late at night. I was driving home. If anyone who's been to that, it's a weird place. There's homeless people just kind of walking around. I went to get gas there a few days ago before I went to Houston, and the pumps were down. So it was a weird experience because when I was there was another lady there too. And when I told her, because I went inside first to kind of ask, and then she told me, the pumps are not working, so you just, So then I came outside, I told the lady, I was like, yeah, it's not working. And the look of horror on her face. She was like, oh my God, I'm going to be stranded. Now what do I do? It is very different. For the guys here, it's very different being a girl, outside, at night, in a weird place. All right? So anyway, that sister in my office said she was at that same exact gas station, a few weeks ago. And there was a group of visibly Muslim brothers who were walking by that gas station. They all saw her there alone, struggling to put the gas in, having trouble with the pump, and if you've ever been there, there's random homeless people standing outside of the Papa John's and the other, and nobody stopped to help. Or even ask, are you okay? Do you need some help? Right? Nobody stopped. But one guy did. One of the people in the group, peeled away from the group, very respectfully, with his gaze lowered, said, Assalamu alaikum, I just saw you standing alone. Are you okay? Do you need help? And she said, you know what? If you could pump the gas, I'm going to go back inside the car. Because I'm freaking out. So he said, fine, sure. Just leave the pump here. I'll do it. He also offered to pay, but she'd already paid for it. So pumped it, made sure it was full, whatever, and then she was on her way. She said that moment, showed me the character of this young man. In that moment, he was practicing the sunnah of Musa alayhi salam, who went from Egypt to Madian and helped those two girls. After helping them, what did he get? A job and a wife. All right? This is the dream kind of, 2-for-1 deal. Every brother's anyway, whatever. So this is but the reason I mention this is because, this ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could have just said mu'minun. Mu'minun is inclusive of mu'minun and mu'minats both. Mu'minun is everybody, all believers. But there are certain places in the Quran where Allah chooses, in His wisdom, to say both genders, mu'minun wal mu'minat. Believing men and believing women. Now I understand that in some cultures it may not be as common to interact with people of the opposite gender. That's understandable. Unfortunately, what I respectfully just have to say about that is that we have created a culture where men act like women live on a different planet. Right? That they don't even exist. And vice versa too. Right? Whereas actually the Sunnah teaches us respectful, mutual cooperation, collaboration. And when we've created this culture to the point where we actually see a fellow Muslim sister in danger, struggling in a challenging place, that we actually believe it's part of hayat to just ignore it. Let her struggle. That's ridiculous. Where did we get that that understanding from? Whereas in the Quran, Allah is very clear that believing men and believing women are awliya of each other. That it is respectful actually to be there in service of your fellow sister and for your fellow brother. Respectfully. Right? That you're not, that you keep your gaze lowered, that you are never in khalwa, right, with the opposite gender, that you are, there's no physical touch, right? All of these red lines. But so long as these things are met, the ummah has always worked in collaboration and cooperation with each other. How else do you explain the authentic narrations of men and women divided by families working together to build the Khandaq around Medina? How do you explain the narrations in Sahih al-Bukhari of women actually rolling up their sleeves and making wudu in the battlefield next to men? Because they worked together. And they found a way to work together, respectfully. Now, you have two options here. Option number one is to create a society where they just live in two different worlds, but they live in parallel. That may work when the society is overwhelmingly bought into it. Everybody is Muslim, everyone's used to it, everyone does that. It may work. It has potential for working. But if you're trying to now import that understanding to now a foreign society, what it leads to is a complete disintegration of basic Islamic values. I mean, there was a case recently. I'm not going to mention the country. That would be mean. Right? There was a case recently of a family whose stove, the kitchen got caught on fire. The house burned down. The house burned down. So all the Rijal al-Aman, the police officers, the firefighters, they refused to go inside to help the people. Because they're they're not mahram, we're not going to go inside. These are women, and we're not going to help them. They burned to death. The whole family. So this is, and I'm not saying that, so this is of course the extreme version of this sort of attitude. But if we don't center ourselves around what Islam expects, what is the standard of Islam? Not the standard of my country back home, or your culture, but what is the standard of Islam? Unless we recenter our focus to what Islam says, then we're gonna keep seeing these examples of just extreme manifestations of misplaced religiosity. So anyway, in conclusion, what I wanted to basically say is, especially if you're a student here at UT, or even if you're young at heart, right? I think every person, every Muslim, needs a rafiq in their life. This is someone you identify among your peers. And everyone has them. Everyone has peers. You know, like locally here in Austin, all of the imams get together regularly, right? Sometimes at a lake, sometimes after Fajr at the masjid, sometimes it's somewhere else. But we talk about, you know, like issues in the community. If there's one imam that's doing something really well, he'll advise other people. The senior imams will advise the junior ones, right? So this is important. Everyone should have someone at their level that they find inspiration in. And everyone should also identify a wali as well. Someone who's a bit older than you, somebody who's a bit more experienced than you, and you keep checking in with that person. But again, the last thing I want to say is going back to the famous hadith and the ayah that we shared, that Allahu waliyul ladina amanu, and the Prophet saying, ila rafiq al-a'la, that ultimately on this journey of finding a rafiq and finding a wali, if Allah does not decide that you find one in this dunya, then know that the highest rafiq is Allah. The Prophet ended his life by saying this. There's several other different narrations, right? But one of them is, ila rafiq al-a'la, that he's the ultimate friend. The ultimate friend, right? Like the highest level of Jannah is what it is because of Allah. Allah is there. You get to have an audience with Allah, right? In addition to all the other amazing people that probably will be in that gathering. The highest rafiq is Allah, and the ultimate wali is also Allah. The ultimate wali is also Allah. In this dunya, you can have awliya that look out for you, that are your guardians, protectors, helpers. But human beings have limited resources. I could love to protect you as much as I can, but my ability is limited. My resources are limited. Right? I was out of town this weekend. My son fell, like he was like on the ground, like at home, and he had a really, really bad just cut right near his eye. His whole eye was swelling. And I couldn't like continue FaceTiming him because I was just losing it. I was just crying. Because in that moment, I'm like, as a father, I should have protected him. Right? Like I felt that. But like, even if I was there, what could I have done? My mom was there, my dad was there, my wife was there. They couldn't protect him because he ran off somewhere else and fell over there. All right? So like, no matter how big of a protector and guardian you can be, Allah is the ultimate wali. Allah is the ultimate wali. I mean, we're only kind of doing it part-time. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant all of us here rufaqa and awliya, a rafiq amongst our peers, and a wali that we lean on for advice and for support. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala become our ultimate rafiq and our ultimate wali in this dunya and in the akhirah. أقول ما تسمعون ما توفيقي إلا بالله وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين جزاكم الله خيرا بارك الله فيكم وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Questions, reflections, complaints, amendments, addendums, retractions? If you have any compliments, I will take them. If you have any complaints, Abdurrahman is here to listen to all the complaints.
Most handsome imam in Texas? Is that the...
That's a nice complaint. Compliment. Yes.
Wow.
Very good.
No,
It's a great coming from Superman. So, you know.
Well, I know the real one who's super in love. No one else.
Cool. May Allah bless and protect all of you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح